So,
Commissioner Palmer.
Jeff, that's going to be at the drive-through over here. Okay, so how does this affect like staffing? Does this take some of the workload off of any of the staff?
It'll be just like we do in Oak Ridge. It'll be 24/7 access. And, it'll free us up to do other stuff. I mean, we've done since March 1st, we've done 2,500 DL for this real ID. So we've had to reallocate some of our staff for that.
Mm-hmm. But that'll level out eventually, right?
I don't know. I hope. I didn't check the airports today. I know that we had a lot of people mad Monday because they're spread they went with the fly today. So
Okay.
I try to stay away from that part. I just issue the license part, but it'll give access. And the good thing about this, I was telling some others, it's going to be kind of like a dual kiosk. Hopefully by next year, Regina will be able to take tax payments with it too.
Okay.
So she'll be able to use it, and since we share drive-throughs and satellites, it's just kind of a natural flow for her to be able to join us too. So we're excited about that too.
Okay.
So.
All righty.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Okay, number 24 is from Fleet. It is an increase in fleet service revenue, $13,000. Increase in utilities, $4,000. Vehicle parts, $7,000. And tires and tubes, $2,000.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Smallridge moves to approve item number 24. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Allen. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Okay, and the next two are from the Circuit Court Clerk Rex Lynch. Decreasing data process and restricted funds, $16,000 to buy new outdated computers, and $4,028.07 decreasing archives and records for shelving.
Motion by Commissioner Mays to approve items number 25 and 26. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Beauchamp. Any discussion? Commissioner Allen.
Yeah, Mr. Ray, how many computers are you talking about, and what model computer?
8 computers and 1 server.
And what model?
Brian's here. We run this through the IT department, and they keep all our systems the same. I couldn't tell you the exact model. But there's nothing new. It's just replacing existing is what we have. We've got probably close to 29 or 30 workstations, and so we try to we get an average of 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
When they come in the mornings, they turn the computers on and they stay on until they leave. So we normally get 4 to 5 years. So we're trying to do about 7 to 8 a year.
Is this including monitors?
No, just no. We may purchase a couple of monitors,
Yeah.
but not all of them. Most of them are in good shape.
Okay.
I think IT's we're buying Dell right now.
Yeah.
Dell. It's what we bought in our office the last
That's
couple.
what Brian told me.
Yeah,
He was
I think
very
so.
interested.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Okay, number 27 is from the Clerk and Master Hal Cousins, decreasing archives and records restricted funds, $26,787.51, and increasing furniture and fixtures, the same amount for also shelving.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Allen moves to approve item number 27, seconded by Commissioner Mays. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Okay, number 28 is from the property assessor in finance. We're increasing the restriction that we created this year for property assessor from audit fees, $25,000. This money came from the city of Oak Ridge for a tax appeal the property assessor handled and paid out of their legal services in 22-23. Oak Ridge reimbursed us half this money back, so we're putting it back in that code for future legal or appeals in that department. If that's what y'all want to do with the money.
And you're putting it where?
Back in the restricted, the 34615 1000, it's committed for property assessor. He typically only uses these funds when there's appeals, which we have a couple. We've had 2 or 3 since I've been finance director. Sure.
Commissioner Mays moves to approve item number 28. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Allen. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
A little side note, I did take that restriction down to 0 that year, at the end of that year, and Johnny wasn't happy about that, so gives them some money back. So.
Okay.
All right, number 29 and 30 from the Sheriff's Department. The first one is a increasing contractor prisoner boarding, $300,000, and increasing our jail, medical, and dental, $300,000. I will say that the prisoner boarding is projected to be over $3 million this year. With we're having a really good year with the state, with the contractor prisoner boarding. And the second one is an increase in the HIDTA grant, $13,638, and the sheriff's overtime and Social Security retirement and Medicare by that amount.
So moved.
Commissioner Mays moves to approve items number 29 and 30. Do we
Yes,
have a
sir.
second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smallridge. Any discussion?
Yes, what is prisoner boarding?
It's their state inmates. They reimburse the county back for any state inmate we have. And right now it's at $6. I think it's $6, or we're looking to get $6 more.
Chief Allen, can you come to the podium,
Or
please?
Shane.
Hey, Anthony,
Yes.
they're asking that you use your mic.
All right.
Chief Allen, you have the floor, sir.
So the state board bill, kind of like Rob was saying, the state reimburses us for housing the state inmates. It's $39 a day, but
That's it.
because of our Tier 2 accreditation, we get an additional $6 a day on top of that. So it
Okay.
comes into $45.
Yes.
And hopefully they're actually getting ready to pass a bill where it's going to be $12 a day, so it'll end up being $51 a day to house state inmates.
Okay. One more question. What is HIDTA grant? What is that grant?
It's a
That would
high
be-
intensity drug trafficking area grant.
Captain Steve Owens, you have the floor,
You
sir.
have the floor.
We have
AKA
a
sunshine.
collaborative, or the high visibility grant that covers the violent crimes,
Okay.
basically what it is.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
And
It's a reimbursable grant, so anything we spend, we get back.
Got you.
This is just to move monies they've sent us back
Back
to cover
over.
what we've spent.
Very good. Thank you.
And just to kind of brag on Chief Allen a little bit, this amount that we're projected to bring in, Robbie, how long has it been since we've been able to bring in this much on the state board bill?
Well, I think when Tyler was working for the sheriff's department, we increased it that one year, and then that's when COVID hit, and we're lucky to get 1.2 million the next couple of years. So
And the state came in and said, hey, I want everybody.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so we've never received 3, so this is,
That's awesome.
That's good.
and we haven't gotten
Thank
that
you.
yet, but we will get it. We have 4 or 5 more months to go.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Chief. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Okay, number 31 is from the Mayor's Office, General Administration. It's increasing industrial development contribution, $956,268.72, and decreasing committed for industrial land purchases and assigned for projects, $624,535.25.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Allen moves to approve item number 31. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Beauchamp. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, if the mayor wants to, or Andy want
Yeah.
to address this, or
Mayor Frank, you had the floor, ma'am.
Yes, and Andy can talk a little bit more about the return on the investment and the timeline. So if this is approved and ends up being approved at full commission, we're looking at an expected completion date in October. And I'd love for Andy to tell you a little bit more than is even in my justification about taxes on what that size facility will bring to the county, jobs, what that will bring to the county, and some of the interest that he has right now in existing buildings, because I do want Commission to feel comfortable that this money is going to come back very quickly in terms of the land sale, and then you'll end up earning revenue back on the asset once it's purchased. So Andy, if you don't care to talk about that, but I do want everybody to know that the state of Tennessee is contributing $1 million to this site development to make this site pad ready. And then TVA was at $350,000, and then when we ran into those geologic conditions, they increased that contribution to $750,000. And Andy, if you want to talk about some of those other returns on the investment.
Yeah, so good afternoon, Commissioners. My name's Sandy Wallace. I'm the economic developer for Anderson County. So when we look at property inside the David Jones Industrial Park, a current sale in that industrial park went for $7.5 million. That facility is currently on the tax record at $5.5 million, which brings in an estimated current tax rate of $70,586 a year. So that is, when we look at the site that we're looking at currently, we're looking at a pad-ready site of 125,000 square foot, that the size building it would hold, comparable to what was just sold. This site, with whoever buys it, could actually hold a building of 250,000 square feet. So the building could be extremely larger and bring in even more tax revenue from that. So when we look at industries in the Anderson County area, so if an industry moves in and that industry employs 100 people, I took an average pay of $20 an hour. If you look on the TNECD website, you'll see that the average in Anderson County is actually above that. But with 100 employees at $20 an hour, 60 to 67% of their pay stays locally. So that would mean for every 100 employees, you're looking at a $2.1 to $2.3 million return that the employees spend in that local economy. So what is the need for a building of this size? Currently, there are 2 buildings that are open in Anderson County. One in the Eagle Bend industrial site, one in the, and one in North Point, which is up back behind Wendy's. Both of those buildings are currently open. I have 5 industries trying to get into those 2 buildings. Most of them are international businesses. I'm not going to give the names just because they don't want you to, but I have 5 projects currently vying for 2 buildings. That does not include any nuclear or clean energy projects that's trying to get into the Oak Ridge area and out into the Anderson County. Now, no, we would never house a radioactive industry in an Anderson County, in I-75 or Eagle Bend or any of those. But if those companies are producing a widget for a clean energy or nuclear, yes, we want those projects and we want them in our industrial park. This is the last acreage. This is the last 125 or 250,000 square foot space that we would have available. There's need for it currently right now. So that's why we're asking for the additional funds. Any other questions?
Any further questions? All right.
Is there a motion?
Yes. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Thank
Good
you.
work,
Thanks, sir.
Andy.
Okay, and the last budget amendments I have are from the EMA, from Bryce Kidwell. There are 3 of those. The first one is a insurance recovery for $5,191.45, increasing maintenance and repair of vehicles. The second is a DOE grant for $21,000 into emergency management, other supplies and materials. And the third one is a payroll transfer. It's a transfer that deals with payroll as well. Because of the part-time funding at the end, $2,000, $18,400 is the total of the payroll transfer.
Do we have a motion?
Approve as a group.
Commissioner Allen moves to approve items number 32 through 34 as a group. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Mays. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Okay, thank you. Under Section A, B and C are all three from the mayor, and so I'll just let her come up to the podium. The first one is Lost Bottom Park, a grant opportunity. And if you have the letter from the letter on all three of these, but the first one is from Lost Bottom.
Mayor Frank, you have the floor, ma'am.
Yes, so on the Lost Bottom Park, back in August of 2024, I came to commission and asked about applying for some NRDA grant funds. What that is a pot of money that through TDEC, EPA, going back to old issues in the Manhattan Project area with harm to the environment for some of the things we didn't know then, they end up reaching a settlement on how to restore the area. And so there are $42 million worth of funds available. And this is the first round. They're going to spread that out over several years. And so what they did is they did this in two parts. The first part is they sought applications that were a more limited application because the second phase may involve a little more work. The board of trustees, or they have a council of trustees that reviews all the applications. From there, they select the applicants that they would like to apply. And so we made it to that round. And the Lost Bottom Park project has been something that as long as I have been here, there's been a desire to improve that park and add amenities. There's currently fishermen go out there. There's just bank fishermen, erosion issues. There's a Melton Lake Users Association. They first approached us about this because the boat ramp is not adequate. There's no delineated parking. There's no pier, there's no kayak launch. So that's what we want to do in order to improve the site, have delineated parking, reduce some of the runoff, add those amenities that are also ADA compliant. What I'm asking you about is the grant application is a 20% match requirement, but one of the things is they have 130 points that you're eligible for in the scoring process. And just as this is one of those projects that's been out there for so long, I wanted to come to commission and say how, I would like to maximize our opportunity to win, because this is a way for someone else to help fund something that we wanted to do for a very long time. And I know Stephanie in the fund balance has, and I did talk to her, she is good with this. In her fund balance, I think there's around $800,000. And so I would like to match that to the over 40%, which can be 40, it's 40%. As I was talking with John Prince about, it could be 41% or 40.5%, but I would like to go up to that amount. The difference between if we match 20% is you get between 20 and 40%, you get 10 points. If it's over 40%, you get 20 points, which is a pretty considerable jump.
And this is, and you're requesting for it to come out of the tourism fund?
Yes. Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second.
Commissioner Beauchamp moves to approve item A, seconded by Commissioner Vandegrift.
Do we need to put the percentage in there?
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to ask. Let's be specific if we can on the motion.
I think I put, Dawn, did I calculate that right? 227,550, or was that right?
I didn't say around that, but 40.5
Okay.
would be sufficient.
Okay.
Okay.
And we'll get the number right. We'll verify that.
Is that good, Commissioner Beauchamp?
Yes, sounds
Okay, Commissioner Vandegrift, that good with you? All right. Any further discussion?
I have a quick question.
Commissioner Mays.
And Mayor, if you said this, I'm sorry. When did you anticipate getting an answer on whether or not we actually get the full thing?
So, I was at a meeting yesterday, and Roger Petrie, who's one of the trustees, said that their plan is to have everything awarded by the end of the calendar year.
Okay.
And then in February, they would open up their next round of grants.
Okay.
So they intend, once they, I've got a meeting next week on I think it's next week, isn't it, John? Or where we're going to sit in with them before we submit our full application, which is due July 15th. So their anticipation is pretty quick turnaround and then getting it going.
Awesome. Thank you.
I have a question.
Commissioner Allen?
Ma'am, would there be any way to find what this park will look like once it gets approved, if it gets built? Is there a rendering drawing to say this is what we're going to get from this grant?
So the full concept design also has a pavilion and a playground, but that's not what we're working on.
Right.
So this is kind of a picture of just a small concept,
Yeah.
partially, if you want to take a look at that. But yeah, I can distribute that and have that in
I saw
the
that
minutes.
handout.
Yeah.
I thought the nice color one would be
Sure.
a little bit better to look at.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Okay, and the next one is another similar in the vein of using the Tourism Development Fund. So Anderson County was awarded a FLAP grant through Federal Highway. This is for Gibbs Ferry Park improvements. What we ran into was severe cost escalation as TDOT got involved. We had to, you all just approved last month the contract. We have to work through TDOT even though it is federal highway funds. We were grossly underestimate for NEPA, for the environmental review, and some of the construction cost increases. And so we've got a couple of things that we could do. We can go to Federal Highway and ask about reducing the scope for the whole park, or we can ask for additional funding. I thought it was worth the effort and they may not have funding. I mean, I know there's a lot going on with various cuts, and it may be a quick absolute no, but I would like to make a formal request for an additional $908,000 from Federal Highway, with an additional $221,000 in the local match coming from the Tourist Development Fund balance. So,
Do we have a motion?
So I have a quick question.
Yes.
So the reduction, if they say no, then you're going to look for a reduction
yes,
in the
we'll go to,
project scope?
yes,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, we'll have to, because the environmental alone is, I mean, it's a little over double what the original estimate was when we applied.
So that would- okay.
Commissioner Vandergrift moves to approve item B. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Allen. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
All right, and then the next item was something I brought up at Legal Services Committee. There's a private act that established the Office of the Law Director. That budget is now at $514,000, and I just wanted to put this in Budget Committee's hands. You know, as we look at a lot of the things that come before this body, are there ways that we could do things differently from a business development standpoint? And I just believe that we could, do it in a way we can even still use Mr. Brooks. I want to be very clear that this isn't anything about Mr. Brooks at all. Lots of folks do things, even our school department does. They have, I don't know how they do it now, but in the past with Mr. Barcelona, they had, you do that still now? Okay. It's a, you know, a contract, I'm drawing a blank on what it's called. Retainer. A retainer contract for up for so many hours, and then if you have additional needs, then it's on an hourly basis. There are other kinds of models, but you know, you look at things like, do we want to do, you know, a justice center? Do we want to do a 24-hour, 7-hour EMS in Claxton?
We do.
You know, those are, well, I mean, that's 300, so I asked
No,
Nathan, I
yeah.
said, that's 320,000. So if we reduce and do a new business model for the legal department and we cut it down to 200,000, there's your 24/7. And the options are, I mean, there's only so many places to trim in government. You're going to have to do some different things from a business standpoint. And that's all I'm talking about. I'm not talking about personalities or anything like that. And I know that Legal Services has put forward some questions. I know some of the commissioners asked to see maybe some comparisons, what other counties are doing. So I'm just putting this in front of you. You know, if you have other things or other information that you would like to see as part of making some decision over the next year, just let me know and I'll be happy to look into it. We have, you know, the magistrate issue has been one that's been around for a very long time in Anderson County, and working with the University of Tennessee, we got an intern, and he's just been an enormous resource for us and has done a lot of groundwork and given us the ability to look like what other counties doing. And we've even discovered, I think law enforcement has been looking at something called Cloud Gavel now that might be able to help the officers and help the courts. But there are a lot of options out there, and I thought, you know, maybe it's time to embark on something like that and just maybe take a look at some other things. So that's all.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Next item, Section D, vacation policy.
Yes, I'll take this one. So last month in budget, this was on the budget agenda, and we referred this to the HR Advisory Committee, which really hadn't met a lot. And we did have a meeting on the 24th and had a very detailed discussion about all this. And there was a motion made and seconded to approve effective July 1st, 2025, that county employees begin accruing vacation hours each month. And upon being hired, new employees will receive 1 week's worth of vacation time instead of having to wait a year for any vacation days, then begin accruing vacation hours each month. And the motion carried by voice vote. Nobody voted no. We did talk about working with the department heads and elected officials could work with their staff, because one of the biggest things we're hearing in the finance department that's getting back to us is that people that have vacation scheduled and they don't have the time. We talked about working with those employees, and each, you know, elected official department, they have that ability to do that. We're not telling people they can't take their vacations if they've already paid and planned for them and stuff. But we are front loading vacation in July, and we're having a lot of payouts in July, August, September, and this will, now when they leave, they will be paid for what they have earned those months. So this was a very old process that has been going on for years. Our system couldn't handle. We got everybody on the July 1st accrual. We can handle more now, so it's a change that definitely needs to be made in the county.
I have a question. Go ahead.
I was just, to be clear, so no one is losing any vacation
No-
time?
no time will be
We're not
lost.
taking vacation time away from anyone?
No,
Even
the same hours.
the ones that's been here for a long time?
No,
Okay.
it's the same hour. You are accruing the same hours. You're just accruing it those hours monthly instead of July 1st.
Instead of front loading
Yes.
all in one day? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may. Robbie, so in the HR Advisory Committee,
Yes, sir.
was everybody present?
The sheriff was not there, but I have spoke with him and had his blessing as well.
Okay. Was there any feedback other than, I mean, it sounds like there was no votes.
There was a few of the officials were concerned some of the 30-year employees may not have accrued, may be losing time where they lost it from the beginning when they were hired. But I had a couple of conversations, one over an hour long, and I haven't seen any evidence of that yet.
All right. So the last question would be is, so based on their years of service, currently they get X amount of weeks or hours a year. So are you all still going to be looking at that tier, but now instead of getting it on the front, it would be 8.7 hours for this month, and then would they accrue it would they be accruing that bi-weekly, or?
Once we accrue sick once a month on the 15th, and I would like to do the vacation accrual as well on the 15th. If you're employed on the 15th, then you receive the your vacation accrual. We can do it bi-weekly, but we also can,
I guess my question would be is, if you do it on the 15th and they quit the 28th, I mean, are they get some extra time, or?
No, they would technically have earned it that month, basically, if they worked.
Okay.
So it's a lot better than giving 80 hours and earning 8 or less
Right.
than 8.
Okay.
Because the new employee, 80 hours, will not earn 8 hours a month. They'll earn 6 point something, I think. Someone that's been here 30 years that gets 200 out, that gets the 200 hours will obviously earn for 12 months. That's more than 10 hours. Well, that's more than 15.
And did you all consider any, last question, Mr. Chairman, thank you, any other options, kind of, like, if you've been here X amount of time, July 1 hits, you get a week, and then you start accruing on this. I'm just thinking in my head of just some folks who really, really use their vacation, and don't really roll much over. What is it going to look like in the summer?
Yeah, that's why I know this. It is short notice, but that's why we gave the department heads, elected officials, they could work in the red a little at first and go back. But we allow employees to carry 160 hours of vacation over each
Right.
year. So, and I mean, it takes quite a bit to get there. But for some who don't ever use their time, they get there in 3 years, honestly. So,
And I lied, I just one last part. I'm thinking about like the outreach for this and educating the staff about it. Is there anything, or is there a drawback if we say starting January 1? I don't know if that does anything with you guys in terms of your record keeping, but so that gives you guys a 6-month window to educate and inform, and instead of, here we are in May, and it's definitely going to be a shock to a lot of people.
I think they're pretty aware.
I know that they're aware, and I know that some of them are very unhappy.
Right. Well, any change is going to
I guess right
It's
now
a
I don't know
change.
who's controlling the narrative, is what I'm saying. Is that if this thing gets passed and implemented, let's say in June, my only concern is just, putting something, and I'm not saying I disagree with it, I'm just saying this is pretty big, and just doing it a quick turnaround like that, I kind of feel more comfortable if we said, hey, in 6 months, or on January 1, or July 1 of 20, I don't know what that day is, but for me, I feel like it would be a better.
Well, how do you suggest we do that, Tyler? Give them half their time up front, and then in 6 months, we start accruing monthly? I'm fine with that, but also, if someone retires, quits, or whatever, I want to take back what they haven't earned. This is about paying people for what they've earned.
I agree.
In leave, and
No,
the county is not doing that right now.
No, I know that's why we're here, and I agree with it.
And me, as my responsibility, I want that we should be doing that. I have a fiduciary responsibility.
If you feel good about educating the employees, and the department heads feel good about educating the employees and doing it July 1, then fine.
Well,
I was just saying, just like the real ID, I mean, as everything's going on, I think communication's so key, and this is obviously going to be one of the bigger benefit changes that these employees have ever had. I mean, you could probably attest to that.
I agree.
And so I just want to make sure that we're
And it affects me.
communicating that.
I have 30,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
my 40th years this year. I have the max vacation, and I will have the biggest payout because obviously I'm probably one of the few people that are CTAS salary that earns leave. And
Right.
if I left today, you would owe me $19,000. I know, that's ridiculous. I
agree. I just, again, if y'all are comfortable with it, I'm
I'm comfortable with it, and I do say next week is open enrollment for the county. Every employee has to re-register for benefits. Is a perfect time to, communicate that change, which I would say 75 to 80% of our employees already know about it. And our two biggest employers, which are EMS and the Sheriff's Department, I've talked to both Nathan and the sheriff, I was concerned he was not for it, and Shane was in there. He said we're 100% for it. So, in the room when the sheriff said that.
Commissioner Palmer.
Yeah, will HR be able to help control and with the narrative and put out emails and explain and be able to answer questions?
We can even put it on my benefits, which we don't have a lot of employees that log into that and check their messages, but we're able to message every employee on that website. HR's already had several employees come by to learn about it, and they've explained it. We don't get as many in our department, but yes, they've already had a lot of questions, but we are able to do that for sure.
And I think you gave us this worksheet, but you didn't mention it just for people that are listening, the savings, the vacation payouts.
So far, I took last fiscal year and what we had done this fiscal year through April. And just last year, and we paid out 5,732 hours of vacation payouts. That's employees that leave or term or retire. And if we had accrued monthly, that would have been 4,893, would have saved us $21,209. This year so far, 33 vacation payouts, we would have saved $35,403 just with a monthly accrual. We've had two very large payouts this year, which is another reason this has came to the forefront. I agree. That has had a lot to do with it, or to some of the thinking. But we started this conversation, I did last 2 fiscal years ago with the HR director, and we were discussing it then. So this is something we've looked into for a couple of years.
If they retire June 15th,
same thing.
They're going to get a massive payout anyway, because if they've not used any of it, and they've like, well, I'm not doing it July 1 anymore. I'm going home June 15th, and they're still going to get that big old payout.
The difference is they've earned it then.
I agree with that.
And that's the main thing. They have earned that time by June, and there's a way around everything. I mean, if I'm smart with our current policy that stays the thing, I'm retiring in July or August. But if you change it, then there's ways you retire May and June. You still earning your time, and there's a benefit to retirement. You get the cost of living increase if you retire with TCRS May, June instead of in July. You don't get that. You lose that. So
that's a good point, Rob.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Beauchamp moves to approve item D.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Smallridge. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
thank you. Okay, so I passed out everybody a new Section E today, and it kind of had some, it didn't kind of, it had a, kind of look what we're trying to get accomplished today as far as the budget process goes. And first off, I want to talk a little bit about where we are revenue-wise. As you know, we're doing it's a reappraisal year, and everybody's had their assessments. I've heard, Johnny's had lots of conversations, and even my own department, I think we've had some discussions about it. And yes, everybody's assessments have gone up, but the tax rate I expect to come way down. So we cannot just for my CTAS reappraisal and ratios class, it's revenue neutral, values increase, tax rate decreases. It generates the same revenue for the county as the amount billed last year. So we are not going to make any more money off these houses in taxes as we did last year. So the only thing that will be additional is any growth. If you add it onto your house and they pick something up, then that's probably going to cost you some more money. If there was a house we haven't picked up yet, then we will get that. But that's the only additional revenue we have. And we don't have any of that in the budget because we don't know the tax rate, or we do know the new growth, we just don't know the tax rate yet. So I just wanted to say that there's a lot of talk out there that everybody's taxes are going to go way up. They're not. They will come. It will be the same. You will be paying the same taxes.
Repeat that one more time, please.
You will be paying
Very loud.
the same taxes you paid last year, even though your assessment has went up. The tax rate will probably be below $2. I mean,
Well, I do want to clarify something, though.
yes.
It is revenue neutral, but just to be very transparent, there will be some people, there used to be 3 pots. People who would literally not pay any more than what they paid last year. People who would pay just a tad more because of growth or just the way the certified tax rate came in. And then people who actually see a loss, well, not a loss, but would pay less than last year. That middle has kind of left. So now there will be some people that will see more on their check, even not necessarily titled as growth, but it depends on what the state tax rate comes in at. So it's not going to be an astronomical amount, and I don't know who those people will be. I mean, you've had some people, the average in Anderson County has been 81% of increase on their assessment. That's the average. So you can see where that goes north too. So I do want to be transparent and say that there will be people that will pay just a little bit more on their tax bill than what they did pay last year, but not to the tune of 81%. But we as a county can't increase what we bring in, but there will be some that have to pay a little more.
And we also have to remember that that's a 5-year period. So I'm pretty sure I personally am going to pay more taxes because 3.5, 4 years ago, we added on, we did
I would say
improvements.
Majority of the county and citizens will have to pay a little more.
If you did something 5 years ago after that reappraisal, that's going to be picked up now because it's been 5 years. So we have to remember, look back. It's not just the last year or just since house prices have gone crazy. It's the last 5 years.
And I think that's what these going to 4 years,
Right.
maybe going to 3. It will not make life as.
And we did agree to purchase some software that we're now doing the flyovers and the scanning of the area where they'll pick up like drone or airplane will pick up these new additions as well before we get to the 4-year or 5-year process, so, which we are now in a 4-year reappraisal. We did pass that as well. But I just wanted to make that clear. The property taxes I have in each of the budgets that are collecting a tax rate is the same as last year. Okay, and then just to get started, we did have a budget hearings on the 24th. I think one motion came out of that was to some animal fees, animal revenue increases, and the law directors got approved. But I have listed the others that were on there in the first part of this that we need to take. And the first one is the preservation of records. There was a $13,500 request for part-time money, and it did have a revenue source. We can use archives fees for that, so that was the suggested.
Second.
Commissioner Beauchamp moves to approve
Preservation of records.
Section E1A.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'll name them as you.
All right. Which is preservation of records. That was motion made by Commissioner Beauchamp, seconded by Commissioner Mays. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
The second one I have on here is the Sheriff's Department. all the departments, the sheriff and their staff put in a 5% pay increase. I will say that's over $1 million in new revenue, new money for us. And I personally don't recommend this. I would like to see the county give the same raises for everybody countywide. So that's just my opinion.
Commissioner Bochamp.
On this 5%, this is not 5% additional to what you gave to us.
No, we don't even have a raise in there right now.
I thought we did that at the budget hearing.
No.
You gave us the options.
I gave you some options,
Yeah.
but we didn't pick one.
Yeah. So that wouldn't be additional
No.
5%. That would just be whatever we give them.
Right.
Okay. I'm going to move ahead so we can know what we're doing. No. To the raises.
Do what?
Can we skip that one and come back?
Yeah, sure.
So we
Okay.
can go to like get to the whole county.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next thing I have on there is the dispatch. The reason being separate is because they did ask for the two new positions, and we do have a revenue source for those two new positions from this. We have increased our city funding and 9/11 from 111,566 to 251,400, and just to pay for the new positions we've added as we've taken over each of the cities.
And so this will cover the
newer-
ones.
so we're up to, this will put them at 18 employees in
Okay.
dispatch, which right now we're paying a tremendous amount of overtime
Yeah.
in that department.
And you did say that the cities contribute to this
Yes,
as well.
to that 251,400 that we have budgeted, it's Oliver Springs, Rocky Top, Norris, and am I missing somebody? The
911
board
yeah.
pays as well.
I'll make a motion to approve the two positions only.
So Commissioner Palmer moves to approve item number E1C minus the 5% pay increase.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
And Mr. Chairman, I would just point out too, we had talked to the cities at the 911 board meeting at the end of April, saying that we would revisit, their contributions and 911, all of that stuff. So, I mean, I don't see this being an issue, but I just wanted to put it out there that will be an annual conversation.
Oh, I was going to say, I think we've already worked this for July 1st. I think we already have agreements with.
We do, yeah. Yeah,
You were
it's
talking
just
about
going
going
to be,
forward.
yeah, we're just going to have an annual discussion about kind of what that contribution looks like.
I agree. Okay. Any other questions on that?
Go ahead, Rob.
So next up is the Veteran Services Department, the 58,300. That is the 20% pay increase for the director. That $10,400, and there's also 5,300 increases in other codes, the travel, office supplies, and the 709, which is data processing supplies.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Smallridge moves to approve item number E1D. Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
I'm going to second for discussion.
Second by
I
Commissioner Mays.
I
Any
even don't
discussion?
believe in that.
Commissioner
But
Mays.
what I would like to see, and this is, I'm not saying that anybody's not worth what they're asking, but I've said this for like 3 years, is Bryce Kidwell. I'd love for him. I mean, I think if we're going to set a standard of where we're paying our department heads, then we need to set it for everybody. You know, and I always use Bryce as my example because he is over EMA, and I promise you, when Anderson County has the worst day it's ever had in history, it's going to be Bryce Kidwell that's going to be in charge. And right now, Bryce Kidwell makes nowhere near what some other department heads or chief deputies and other fee officials make. And for me, I supported this back in the fall and when we went through all this, because I felt like that, I'm going to rehash all that, but I am not going to support any raise for any department head unless all of our department heads get to the same level. Again, it's nothing against Scott's doing a tremendous job, a heck of a job. But and I hate to be the guy that just votes no for everything. But until folks like Bryce, Heidi, that makes, I don't even know what Heidi makes, but until they are at that same level, then I'm going to be a no for anybody's raises. Just because again, Bryce could leave today and go to Sevierville. It could have happened overnight, and he got about a $55,000 pay increase. And I just hope we don't have to mobilize Bryce for our worst day.
Commissioner Vandergriff.
I just wanted to maybe amend this or defer it until the end of the meeting when we discuss the potential raises or for the whole county.
So Commissioner Vandergriff has moved to defer the Veteran Services budget till the end of the meeting. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Mays. If I am correct, motions to defer to a specific time are not debatable. Therefore, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Does that cut off any
Yes, sir.
further discussion at this?
Until we bring it back up. Yes, sir.
Okay. So E1E, I like the sound of that, is EMS. And Nathan always offers us three budget options, with option one, being the most desirable and the most expensive at $8,035,331, which is around a $325,000, a little north of that increase in the original budget from this year. So, and option 3 does provide a new half truck and an additional half a truck. Nathan, I'm going to torch in Oak Ridge with 4 additional employees, and $80,000 of other like contracted services, cleaning, a tuition, $5,000, and some additional pay for. What was it, Nathan? What's that?
Director Sweet.
Yes, sir. To answer his question, that was last year when we discussed what we call the key performance indicator raises. Instead of the performance raises, the annual raises that the employees have to achieve by hitting certain marks, that was included in all 3 budgets. I believe it's around $34,000, but that was for all pay and benefits. But that was the item that was approved last year. So I think he's mentioning that was included in all of the budgets.
Yes.
I don't have your options in front of me right now, but I remember, what is the difference between 1 is your most desirable and 2 was the middle one, right? And what was the difference between those 2? It was just one thing, right?
That was that 12-hour truck, yes.
12-hour truck. And I'll just say, the only thing I had an issue with was the cleaning. Now, I understand
Yes,
you have
ma'am.
to have, for blood and all that kind of stuff, healthcare background, I understand that. But that would seem like a little bit much to have a professional cleaning as opposed to doing it yourself. And so I just wanted to hear you say, why can you guys not do that? Why does that have to be outsourced?
That's a great question. So in regards to the ambulance in particular, what we were looking at is we were having a professional that was coming in and cleaning the cab only. So our crews clean daily,
Right.
sometimes multiple times a day. We use hospital-grade disinfectants, so it gets quite clean regularly. The part we don't have as much is you look up in the cab area, in particular the seats. The seats are cloth.
Okay.
So you know what, you spray something on it, it hits the top, you have to really saturate. So when we brought in as actually a local service, we brought in actually a couple just to kind of see what the service looked like. They actually would sterilize the cab area.
Okay.
So you're looking at the vents, you're looking at the floor, under the seats, the high or the low visible
Sure.
areas, and the deep cleaning of the seats.
So it is absolutely something that you cannot do yourself.
Not that level.
that level.
Not that
Okay.
level. I mean, and to do it for 20 ambulances, and what we were talking about was doing it once a year for each one of those ambulances. So it
Okay.
wasn't once a month, it wasn't once a week, it was once every 12 months for every ambulance to get that high level cleaning. The rest of the time, we're doing the cleaning, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
No, you're welcome.
How much would one of those, would a piece of equipment like that cost? Just curious.
For the cleaning?
Yeah.
I haven't priced it out. The gentleman we used local, the cost per ambulance was $250. He had a steam sterilizing piece of equipment. He had the vacuum that you would use the professional vacuum to clean out the seats after you saturate them. We do personally. We already have like a homemade one that we use. But it doesn't get near the level of what this one.
And I just asked
haven't
just
priced it
because some of yours and Chief Allen's most trusted workers. I didn't know if that's if we bought the equipment as a county, would it be cheaper in the long run? Just asking. Just throwing that out there.
I know they do some cleaning for you guys, but I don't know if that's one of them, is it?
No, they don't do any cleaning for us. They do come and pick up some of the receptacle trash,
Okay.
but they don't do any cleaning currently. And I'm not necessarily opposed to that either, if that's something we want to look at, especially if it's a joint piece of equipment that ACSO can use, and then now it becomes multi-agency. I'm not opposed to that. What I do know is we didn't have the capacity to do this level
No, that makes
of
sense.
cleaning.
That makes total sense.
I'll be honest with you. I had one of my employees that was telling me, "Hey, boss, I think I could clean just as well." And I said, "But you aren't. If you want to start, you let me know." And that's when the conversation ended.
Yeah, I get
and
that.
and honestly, we've tried in the past using our staff for part-time, and it's not sustainable. The staff they're not sustainable in continuing to do that because it becomes an extra duty, but it wasn't sustainable. So this was one of those items I looked at, reached out. Again, I had a local guy who was in Clinton, had him come over, did a great job. And again, it wasn't the other cleaning. We didn't even have him do any detailing, no waxing. It was that cab area and hitting it hard.
It's more
So
of a sanitation, yeah.
it was, and then it was the same for the stations. The stations was once a month going into each station and hitting again some of those areas that get less touch, right? The ambulance crews that work in the stations, they already mop, they already sweep, they clean the counters. They're responsible for that. Some days it's easier to do that than others, but this was bringing somebody in that could do a higher level of cleaning for the bathrooms, the floor, the fan blades, the curtains, those different items. That's what we were looking at was bringing in somebody that could go to each substation, not the headquarters. We did not include the headquarters in that. Headquarters staff will take care of headquarters. It was the ambulance personnel that were running the calls. That's what we were looking at for that one.
Commissioner Vandegrift.
Director Lee,
Yes,
in
ma'am.
option 1 and 2, I believe you had included $15,000 for the Haas system.
Yes, ma'am.
So I looked into that just a little bit, and it's
Yes.
only compatible with certain vehicles.
Correct.
So I was just curious, did we look and just see how many vehicles that actually would benefit in the county?
Well, honestly, I don't know where I would look to see who owns what kind of vehicle in the county. I do know it is compatible with Stellantis vehicles, which is going to be your Dodges, your Chryslers, your Jeeps. I do see quite a bit of Jeeps
Yeah.
around.
So those are like the 24 and 25 models?
Actually, I think it's 2020 and newer.
Okay, 2020s, okay.
I believe
Okay,
so.
didn't-
It's 2020 and newer. And then they just added Volkswagen. They do continue to work on Ford and Chevy. Those would be the absolute big ones. They have not been able to get that on board yet. I know they are working also with Waze and I believe Google Maps, but I know Waze for certain. So if you're using a Waze map, regardless of the make of your
Okay.
vehicle, you will, and many of you may have already seen this, when you're traveling down the road and there's construction work, or there's somebody on the side of the road, or there's a wreck, it gives you an alert. This would indicate that. This would be where you would, if we're on the side of the road for a motor vehicle accident, they would be real-time alert that they would get that there's something coming up.
So would there be a possibility of other agencies using this too?
Absolutely, and I'll try to remind. We did apply for a grant to get the first year of this covered, and in that grant we wrote for not only us but also animal control and EMA.
Okay.
We did talk with both those departments. Both those departments were interested in getting this and using this. So we did apply for a grant. It's just a little over $19,000. Commission approved that, I think, last month. Not sure if we'll get it. It's the Tennessee Highway Safety Office grant. I'm not sure if we'll know this fall. So that's quite possibly something that we could say, hey, let's continue to see other avenues for paying for it. Let's see if the grant comes in, and then if it doesn't, then maybe have a discussion later to see if there's another way of tackling that one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a motion?
Chairman Val, just the state rules of budget, we either have to reject or accept one of these budgets, or reject all of them and start over with them. So I just need one of those motions for EMS. That's really the only budget that we don't have we've not settled on anything. So, and it's, because Nathan does give us 3 options, it makes it more difficult sometimes to decide what we
Can't
want to do.
remember
So.
what they were at the top of my head.
I think we received them at, was it last?
And I have it. I'm sorry, I should have probably put that in there. But I put it in your budget hearings and I think even the meeting before that. Option 1 is the biggest difference. It's the main largest one. It adds a half a truck in Oak Ridge, a 12-hour truck, not a half, a 12-hour ambulance, 2 AEMT employees and 2 EMT employees, the cost of $265,000. Option 3 doesn't have the truck for the 12-hour truck. It has the ambulance and station cleaning, the increase from 2 to 3. They want to increase 3 employees to the paramedic school at a cost of $5,000. The Haas ambulance public alerting system at $15,000. The air duct cleaning at EMS facilities for $10,000, and key performance raises. All 3 of the budgets have key performance at $34,095. That includes pay and benefits. And then option 3 is the pretty much the no increase. We did approve those key performance raises in a budget meeting this year. It's just adjustments for medical benefits due to turnover and plan changes, and increased expenses for billing services. Station 5 rent also increased. So even the no increase has like almost a $200,000 increase just because of
200,000?
yes,
Okay.
because of
And option 2, what was the increase in that one?
251,419 basically, and then option 3 is a 325,610.
Mr. Chairman.
Option 3 is the no increase, the same as it is right now.
Okay, option 2 is the 251, 419 increase,
Yes,
and option 1 is
200,000 increase. Option 1, I'm sorry, 325,610. It is the max, the main the Max Daddy.
So what is the difference between option one and option two?
Mr. Chairman, since there's no motion on the floor, is there any way we can maybe tackle this? I think the mayor has agreed to make some copies, but there are far less contentious things on this sheet, like the schools. If we could maybe knock some of these out real quick so others could leave, and then we can feel good about ourselves for a minute.
I'm sorry, I thought y'all would have studied this.
I'm ready to go, but
Yeah.
I'm ready to vote on all of them, but I'm just saying.
Trust me, I've looked at this 100 times and I couldn't repeat one thing.
Could I?
If you don't want to.
I'll make a motion to choose option 2. And I'll second it.
Oh, is this for EMS?
Yeah.
Okay.
Commissioner Bochamp moves to approve item number E1E, option 2, seconded by Commissioner Vandegrift. Any discussion?
Question.
Commissioner Smallridge.
Option 2, does that have a truck in it?
Does not have the 12-hour truck in Oak Ridge. The only option that included that was option 1, and that was the reason for the bigger increase, was an additional. We have a truck. We have 2 stations in Oak Ridge right now. And this would put a half a truck.
Okay, I was going to ask whether ARPA, we do have some money,
200 and something thousand.
270,000. I was thinking if there was a truck or some way we could use some of that, perhaps.
We could.
What's the difference between 1 and 2? That was 57,000, right?
Yes.
That's it.
Give or take a few dollars.
Okay.
I've got it here.
I'm clear on that.
All right, motion on the floor is for option 2. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no.
No.
Let's have a hand vote. All in
I
favor,
think I'm the only
raise your
one.
hand.
Yeah, tell him
I think I'm riding solo on this one, Chief.
it's all right, I've been there.
With the ones raising their hands, aye.
You're no.
Oh, I'm a no.
Aye. This is for aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I said I was solo.
And motion carries. And the next item,
And Commissioner Smallridge and all the other commissioners on budget, we can amend the budget anytime to add a truck with the ARP. I mean, if it gets into the budget season, there's always an amendment possible. So it's never a dead issue. So the last thing I have on my list before, this will be really quick. Tyler made a motion last time for the law director to go to legal services. We did discuss this in legal services. They did approve this budget. My only concern is that I had that I wanted to make you all aware of. We moved $6,000 out of the assistant to the law directors, which had 70-something thousand in it, to pay for the additional the increases he had in the paralegal. He wants to move the rest of that into the paralegal code, which would make it $118,562. The current paralegal we have makes $49, so that would leave about an additional $20,000. I just think that we ought to maybe put $100,000 in there and take the rest of that out of there. It's, in my opinion, because I'm not trying to micromanage, but just.
I've got a question.
Commissioner Bochamp.
The rest of that money will go back into the general fund?
Yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve that.
Commissioner Bochamp moves to approve item number E1F.
Yes.
That was Robbie's recommendation.
And that's cutting it how much, Robbie?
18,000 out of that code.
Second. Did you already get a second?
No, we need a second.
I'm sorry, second.
Commissioner May seconded the motion. Any
Well, hold
further
on.
discussion?
Time out. Raises in this budget?
They're already been approved
By who?
by you all in this committee and hearings.
Pending the,
Well, legal services made the motion without even hearing anything. They just went with it.
okay, I'm going to be a no on this, just because, again, until we start doing this for everybody across the county, then I am not approving. I am going to vote no. You don't even have to look at me anymore. That's going to be my vote.
I would say something, but I ain't going to. Commissioner Palmer, go
We
ahead.
only approved his person. in legal services?
I'm sorry.
I thought we only approved the person that he's wanting in legal services, no raises.
No, his request in the budget hearings was a 5% raise for the deputy and the paralegal, and that was approved.
And I'm with her. I did not understand that night.
Yeah, I thought we
But
were
afterwards,
only
when
voting
I,
on this person.
yes,
Yeah.
that
Oh.
was the first one that came up, and I did not understand it either, because he talked about wanting to keep some money in case he wanted to hire somebody. And with the current motion, I'm going to be a no vote also, because I would like to see that assistant law director position, the money for that, all back in general fund. And if he, in the future, needs a paralegal or whatever, he could come back and request it at that time.
Yeah, okay.
And the only way to deal with the raises is to rescind that previous motion.
Yeah.
Correct. So, anyway.
All right, so the motion on the floor right now,
I'm taking my motion back.
okay, Susan.
No motion on the floor.
No motion.
There is now.
Yeah.
She's withdrew. I want to make a
Withdraw
motion
my motion.
to rescind what we adopted on April 24th, that it clearly has, I think all of us thought that, and yeah.
I'll take the blame for that. I wasn't clear enough.
So that we make a motion to rescind the law director's budget vote from the April 24th budget meeting.
And in fairness, I'll second that.
Okay, so the motion on the floor by Commissioner Mays is to rescind the previous motion that approved the law director's budget. Seconded by Commissioner Palmer.
Question,
Commissioner Smalley.
yeah, could you summarize what we approved previously? I was here, but
I thought that we were.
I know we approved his request.
That position pending legal services, it going to legal services. But like Robbie just said, there are 5% raises in there for his current staff.
Okay.
And so I think being consistent with what we've already said with everybody is we will deal with raises on the back end. So.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Everybody understand what we're voting on? All in favor say aye. Any opposed say no. No. Motion carries.
So then I would like to make a motion that that position, the money that we have in there for assistant law director, be moved back to general fund. And if he decides at some point that he needs an additional staff member, then he can come to commission and request that and give the justification for it.
I'll second that.
With no raises right now?
With no raises.
That would be $72,000 then.
72,000.
So Commissioner Palmer's motion is to,
Does that include benefits, Robbie?
No, but that's more than 80, around 80-something thousand then, yes.
reduce the salary code in the law director's budget by $72,000 and send it to the general fund? Is that
I would-
correct?
I would say the assistant director's salary and benefits.
The assistant director's salary and benefits, so you'd rather have the motion without a dollar amount?
Yes, because currently the original budget for assistant law director was 74,880. So we're already way over 72. And with benefits that were in there, it's more than $80,000. So I would just say salary and benefits.
Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Okay.
And general fund is where that should go back to,
That's
right?
yes,
Yes.
101.
Okay.
And who seconded that?
Me.
Mr. Boccia.
Is that all right with you, the
Yes.
changing of that?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Okay. The last thing I have on, as you were aware, last meeting, the mayor made, sent a letter requesting the possibility of increasing the volunteer fire department contributions. We currently contribute $27,500. With inflation, it was a little under 45, but she talked about possibly doing 45,000 or 50 as a contribution. And And then today, we all received an email from Commissioner Wandell with the Fire Commission Committee's request of $750,000 to $1 million to be split between all 11 active departments, which does include cities, and including the yearly supplements of $27.5 for consideration. I can tell you something like that would put a budget deficit over $2 million. So, I mean, I personally can't get behind that. But I do, me and Tracy had a really good conversation and some things we discussed. You know, each year with our rollover money from the budget from the prior year, we put 20% in this assigned capital for capital projects. We might make a motion or possibly talk about giving the Fire Commission some rollover money and putting in like a Fire Commission capital project fund as a possibility to let that build or start building.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that I don't want to hit the big request yet, because I think that might be a longer discussion in terms of how we can get there. But at the very least, I'd like to make the motion to go to the 45,000. Was that the number, Mayor?
50,000 is kind of half. I mean, it's that amount that the county's been budgeting for half a fire truck. So that's 135,000 over what you've funded. So I would advocate for the 50,000.
$50,000 to $135,000 increase.
So that's what I would ask for in this motion, with the understanding that when there's more time and other things, I still feel like that we have ways in this county to find money. And no, I'm not going to use Dr. Parrott or the schools on this one, but still, I think that there are some ways that we can, at the very least, we can look at it that it's an annual, like it's something that it's not a one-time deal. So that would be my motion for now on that.
I'll
45
second.
or 50?
50.
50.
So Commissioner Mays moves to approve item E1G for $50,000
For 50,000. Yes.
for each department,
Yes.
each fire
We-
department.
It's what we're already doing, but we're changing it from 27.5 to 50.
It's rescue squad and the volunteer fire departments.
Yeah.
Okay. Seconded by Commissioner Smallridge.
Yes. And then I have a question.
Go ahead.
How many departments is
I
that?
think that's 6.
6
Yes.
departments?
5 volunteer and 1 rescue squad, if I'm right.
That's correct.
Any further discussion?
And just one comment.
Commissioner Palmer.
And I'd said this in the last budget meeting, but I really think if we're going to be purchasing things and we really need to have a coordinator. And that was a suggestion. I know now's not the time to look at this. I don't know if next month is or what, but anyway, that was a suggestion from MIT. We really need to either a fire marshal, fire coordinator, or whatever, to kind of make sure that we're getting the most from these resources. So, but anyway, just a comment.
And the mayor's letter last month advocated for that position as
Okay.
well, and that y'all received.
Okay.
So, and again, that is something if we don't get in the budget this year, we can discuss, we can put on the agenda for any budget meeting next year and add.
Okay, and that might be the time to do that, okay.
Commissioner Bochamp.
Mr. Chairman, can we bring up the request from Commissioner Wandell from the Fire Commission that they had Tuesday night? Can we bring that up at our June budget meeting? That'll still give us time before we got to have the budget passed, but get us all the way through this, and then we can kind of talk about some of those things of where that money's going to come from.
Yeah.
And give us a little more talking time on it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Roger, can you go ahead and add that to next month's agenda? Commissioner Mays.
Yeah, and I would just, I'm assuming we're going to have one more budget hearing, like budget specific. Are we going to have another one in May, or
Yeah, well,
Maybe
we
not.
can. I'd have to notice it.
okay? I agree
We
with
sent the
you.
law director's budget back to them, so.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Yeah,
have
one
to
of the,
have
but we
something.
didn't, we approved a no increase.
We approved it. He may not like it, but we approved it.
And the problem too is I'm not going to be here for the June County Commission meeting this year, and that's usually when we pass the budget. But I do on the calendar have an extra budget, an extra commission meeting scheduled, as we always do every year for the month of June. I think the next Monday after the commission meeting. So it's possible that we can just discuss budget and get it approved in that meeting. I mean, we like to get the budget approved before June 30th. If we don't, we're not penalized or anything. We have till August. And honestly, sometimes it seems, especially in a reappraisal year, it is a rush to get things done by June 30th. But we can do it too. But we're not far from, I mean, we're really close already. So
Yeah, so Mr. Chairman, I'm going to say this, and then regrettably I have to leave to go coach my son, but there's two things that I would like to leave with is two thoughts. One, and I think of Rex's no tax increase hat when I'm about to say this, is thinking outside the box of how do we get reoccurring revenue for county fire, whatever it looks like. And I was on ChatGPT today trying to find a better way to say tax, like a fire service fee or something like that. I'm not pushing it. I'm just saying that's something we should consider. Like I think it was like $25 or $20 or $25 we talked about last year would fund that annual contribution that they've requested. The other part is this: it would not hurt the highway department's budget at all. Is us looking at our resolution when we do it, our appropriation resolution, we do it based on percentage. Really, that's not a fair way to do it for the county. It really needs to be a static number, because when we look at our 5-year average, well, let's say if we go have a massive year, well, that $1.1 million that we've given in sales tax to the highway department is really going to be, let's say, $1.6 million if it's a big year. Well, that 5-year average then starts getting messed up because we're doing it on a percentage and not on a number. What I would just ask is that we consider that being an actual number and not a percent. That way, and it won't penalize, because if we have a bad year, then his 5-year average can take a dip. So it's really a win-win, I think, for both, that we say, all right, this 5-year average coming up is $1 million, for simplicity, $1 million. Well, anything in excess of $1 million goes to the general fund, versus the 37%. Well, he's going to get in excess of that. So really, I think it's a win for both of us, and that just gives us more dollars in the general fund without hurting the highway fund. If we could I would just ask for consideration when we do the appropriation resolution, and that would just give us more money and still would have zero impact on Gary's budget. So, and I would like to vote on this motion before I leave the.
So, Robbie, if I understand right, the $50,000 is going to the volunteer fire departments, not the city fire departments. Is that correct?
that is correct. It's currently what we are contributing $27.5. This will increase that contribution, and we've been doing that for many years. That same.
So the cities are going to remain at the $27.5.
Who?
The cities.
We don't contribute to the cities. We had a fire truck resolution that we bought a fire truck for the cities. This is just the contribution only.
So I'm going to be a no vote on this one, and I understand the reasoning behind it. It's not that it's incorrect, but at least in my district anyway, the Rocky Top Fire Department can be seen in the Medford community or up in the Briceville community when needed, and have on several occasions. So I'll be a no vote on this one. Any further discussion?
I got one.
Commissioner
I thought we
Boccia.
were paying that out.
Not to the cities, no. We never have.
Did we not?
We don't do this normally.
No, I'll tell you, in the ARP, we
That's what
did
it
some
was.
ARP funding. We gave the city some money. We gave them money to buy certain equipment, and they brought me back an invoice. We gave it to the cities as well, but not this contribution. We never have.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. No. Motion carried.
Okay.
So that takes us down to section 2, Robbie.
Yes, and that is honestly to approve the following budgets as presented. And that would be, the first one I have on the list is the general purpose schools 141 fund and the central. Do you all want to take these separately, or you want to just approve the rest of them on here?
I'll approve as a group.
Okay.
Because there's no increases.
There's no
That's right.
increases.
Okay.
Motion by Commissioner Beauchamp to approve all of item 2 as a group, seconded by Commissioner Allen. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
And the last thing I had on here was, a lot of times in budget season, I request motions from you all, and one was that any employees who receive a pay increase as a result of the budget hearing process or the budget process are not eligible for the general county pay increase approved by the budget committee. So far, we don't have any of those because we just took all that away. So it's not necessary. But if it did, we're always faced with the question, do we give them a raise on top of the raise? So I say no to that. I just like to make that clear. If it's not clear, then I end up giving them the raise, giving the employee both. So right now, it hasn't come into play. So really, the last thing that we have to discuss, besides the new business item, is a pay increase, a possible pay increase for the county. And I did give you a list of possible pay increases, the percentage, and the set rate, like a $1,500, $1,200, $1,750. And I talked more of this. I've spoke about this a couple of times of doing more of a $1,500 raise or something like that for the employees, because the lower paid employees who need them, we're trying to get up more, gets more of a percentage, a higher percentage of the raise than a $50,000 employee. This is a 3% raise, $1,500. If, for example, anybody that makes less than 50, this is a higher than 3%. Anybody more than 50, this is less than 3%. But Knox County just gave 2% raises to their employees. We found in the paper this week. Two. And a $1,500 raise, in my opinion, would be a good raise for employees. They got 4% last year. They've had 7, 5, 4 the last. I mean, money is very tight this year. We don't have a lot. A $1,500 raise would cost the county general fund $661,712. Probably a little less. With some grants and stuff, I can take all that out. Until I go in and put each one in, it's hard to note the exact cost. And as you can see, with each fund, the highway department $41,000, library $15,000. Each fund is responsible for their own, and this includes benefits, that column. And I also would like to say I leave them out every year, but we do have 19 permanent part-time employees that meet the qualifications of working so many hours each week, every week. Bi-weekly. We do have a little formula, and we have 19 of those, and I would love to give them a $750 raise. That amounts to like $14,250. So that's my recommendation, and if we did make that, I could bring a budget back to you next month with all that in there, and we can see where we're at.
Before we lose our quorum because of the funerals, I'd like to make a motion that we give the $1,500 for the full-time employees and the $750 to the full-time, part-time for all employees, or the ones that qualify, and the others that had the pay increase in their budget, this would replace that.
Okay.
That 5%, 20%, 2%, whatever. And this is what CTAS, 3% is about what CTAS is giving.
That's what the elected officials
That we are
receive.
mandated to pay. And so this is in line with that as well.
Yes.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Beauchamp. Motion by Commissioner Palmer is to increase full-time employees by $1,500 annually, part-time $750 annually. Seconded by Commissioner Beauchamp. Any
Part-time.
discussion?
Permanent part-time.
Permanent part-time. And of course, there will be discussion and questions and phone calls on that term.
Well, we have that, we
Yep.
know who those people are.
Yeah. Any further discussion? For the record, I'll be abstaining for cause, which will drop the necessary
enough?
vote count down to 4.
Do we have enough
Yep,
vote? Okay.
yep.
We
We
have
still have a
8.
quorum.
So we'll have 5 voting, so we'll need all 5.
Okay.
No, if I drop down, it drops the quorum down to 4 needed
Yeah.
Okay.
to pass, because it's for
That's what I'm
cause.
saying, do we have enough to vote?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 voting.
Okay. I didn't see Mr. Smallridge over there. He was hiding behind Shane.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
Okay. Thank you. The last thing we have on the Shane for new business is the one budget amendment from the drug fund to purchase a vehicle for the drug unit, $22,000 from restricted for public safety, which has $148,377 available.
Motion to approve. Second.
Commissioner Bochamp moves to approve new business F1. Seconded by Commissioner Allen. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
So everything we discussed going back and voting on after that, we don't want to go back and discuss that now. We are giving everybody the same raise.
That was my motion.
Okay, that's what I thought. Randy just asked me that, and I just want to
Okay.
Did we
clarify.
still have to vote on the
Yes.
VA guy?
Thank you all very much. We got a lot done.
The Veterans Affairs or anything, because we voted to send it to the end, so that we're
I
taken
think
care
that
of?
Denise's motion was,
Okay.
That- Yeah.
Any other new business? Any unfinished business? We are adjourned.
What was the statement?
When we voted to give the 1,500 and the 750, that took care of what we deferred to the end of the meeting. Did you want to say something on that?